Hello, today let's talk about FiiO's recently released portable digital to-analog converter Q11. You know, I'm a fan of budget models, and Q11 is actually a budget model. It just uses new numeration system where one is generation and one is placed in the lineup. So it's a new generation of the entry-level portable digital to-analog converter with battery, because for dongle DACs they have KA series. And I'm a fan of budget products because it's always interesting what some companies deliver for really low price, and this device is definitely budget friendly. It's priced about $100 depending on particular country, customs and so on. So it's pretty interesting. And taking into account that it's FiiO, we can expect some really good set of accessories, design and performance. Actually, about performance, here used CS43198 digital to-analog converter and amplification schema that is able to deliver up to 650 milliwatts for 32 ohms load from the balanced output. Work time is about 12 hours in real usage, but of course it depends on output you select, gain, volume and so on. And today I remembered about FiiO's first product that brought them fame and fortune, and it was FiiO E7, first generation, their first portable digital to-analog converter with battery. Actually, it was so long ago, and at the time on the market there were really few devices available, and it was a really affordable one, and actually it opened a door to audiophilia for many portable audiophiles nowadays. So I have pretty high expectations for Q11, and let's have a closer look. Package is interesting. They decided to make a step from their traditional black box, and here they used silver and blue foiled design. So let me open carefully this box, because I loaned this unit in Ukrainian shop Porta.Fi, and I'd like to return it back to them, or maybe buy it. I will decide later. Honestly, I don't need it, but sometimes it's hard to stop collecting devices. So inside of the box we are getting to the traditional black cardboard. Inside here is device itself, and underneath we're getting extra accessories, and actually box is pretty heavy here. So let's see. Not bad. So some sort of manual, interesting silicone piece to attach your device to some smartphone. Probably you put it to the back of smartphones and put it at the front and just pull to join them together. Also silicone pad that FiiO always add to accessory set of their device, and in this case you see that it's a necessary thing if you're going to make some sandwich with your transport. And here are 3 cables. This longer one is USB type A to USB type C for connecting to PC or some laptop, USB type C to USB type C, and even USB type C to Lightning. So you can be ready for everything in the future with this set of accessories and cables. In terms of design, it's great. You can see that they made it of aluminum, not entirely, but vast majority of shell. And also they labeled it as jade audio. Everything inexpensive goes to jade. Some interesting fancy shape that didn't remind anything else before. It's really compact. Here is M11 Plus. So as you can see, it's much smaller, much thinner, and great looking, fitting nicely into hand. I miss the times when we had players of that size, and they were pretty nice. In terms of controls, it's fairly simple. So on the bottom we've got USB to connect to charge it and to connect to some smartphone or some source, and LED indicator to show that progress. On top we've got two outputs, headphone output, single-ended and balanced, gain, two positional gain switch, and the volume knob that, as always, works as a turn off toggle. And the most surprising thing, it's not really good visible under the bright light, but they have a transparent window on the front, and it's highlighted a little bit with multicolored LEDs, and you can see some chips. As I can understand, it's digital to converter on the bottom, and on the top two amplifiers, some capacitors, and so on. Window is small, but it's really curious to see what's going on inside. Like, usually everyone makes windows to show that there are tubes inside, but here you just see a part of PCB, the most interesting one, but still, you know, it's pretty good idea to see it and to admire it. As you can see, build quality is great, it's really fitting nicely into hand, and I don't know what to say else, really cute small device. Despite of budget segment, this device can be controlled via FiiO Control application or via FiiO Music. It's basically the same, but in second case it's just built into FiiO Music player. And traditionally you select the device, and here you can see name, firmware version, current sampling rate, but music is not playing, so it shows the maximum one. Also product photo, SPDIF out you can activate if you want to use it as fancy portable converter. Also you can select indicator light, turn it on, off, or until the restart or forever, and you can select one of the low pass filters, so there is plenty of options here to experiment. And as usual you can download the manual here. It takes some time, but it will download it and will present to you if you want to see what to do. So nice quick start guide here. And that's basically it, but maybe in future they will add some more additional options here. And of course about the sound, here I built a small improvised setup using FiiO M11 Plus as transport, Q11 as digital to analog converter, and FD7 as earphones, but just for example. I used a lot of other headphones and earphones to test it, of course. And also in real life you won't need to use such high-end player as a transport. I'm using it here just for illustration purpose to show you some tracks, and it's a good transport anyway, so why not to use it here. And some people already made an interesting cognitive mistake when described sound of Q11. A lot of people expecting more from this player, and actually much more than price segment can deliver. Of course, it optimized in many aspects to lower the price, but at the same time for this price sound is really good. It's actually surpassing almost all dongle type digital to analog converters, because here used less packed schema, so they FiiO implemented more advanced schematics and also more powerful amplifiers and with better power supply, thanks of course to the big internal battery. But let's try to describe its sound without referencing to the price. So for the price it's don't worth even complaining. It's technical, it builds nice stage, it has good resolution, uncolored sound, doesn't try to make something fun or energetic. You can easily do that with headphones, of course. But let's be more nitpicking this time. But keep in mind that actually it's without regarding the price and comparing with much more expensive devices. So, bass is linear without adding weight or adding some punch. Resolution is normal, but of course not maximum. But texturing is pretty okay here. It's balancing between weight and punch, but doesn't try to add either weight or punch. So if you use to some highlighted or accented low frequencies, it's not an option for you, and this time FiiO even decided not to add any bass boost. In my opinion, it's a pretty okay idea. If you need bass boost, just get bassy earphones, there are a lot of them, but of course it's just my subjective opinion. Bass is pretty well balanced, so it suits both for electronic music or pop music, so genres with synthesized low frequencies, but at the same time it doesn't add weight. And it's okay with acoustic instruments. Of course, it lacking a bit of tiny nuances, it lacking a bit of sense of realism, but in general, overall performance and perception is really okay. So it's definitely a step forward comparing to to vast majority of dongle DACs in this price range and even in higher. And also it's really noticeable step forward compared to regular smartphone output, definitely. And bass is really well controlled thanks to normally powered amplifier here. And this time I decided to use really basic tracks that overperform this digital to analog converter in terms of requirements. And Musica nuda, Rimando, of course, it requires a bit more high-end setup to deliver you full sense of acoustic double bass and to deliver this rich resonance of DAC. But in general, of course, double bass sounds pretty full-bodied. You can definitely hear that nuances of sound extraction, like pulling the strings, releasing them, and so on. And Pedro Magoni vocals sounds really good because mids here are uncolored and natural. And actually, we coming to mids, they have really nice resolution. Also, it will be a step forward comparing to your smartphone. At the same time, they're not too focused on the micro contrast, so they don't sound too dry or analytical. And also, the device doesn't try to add mids or to add emotions, dynamic or weight or something like that. So here everything depends on your earphones or headphones, and it depends on the quality of material. With proper quality material you'll get a good weight and nice distribution of this weight, you'll get emotions and dynamics. But when track is bad or it's really compressed, for example, you will lose a noticeable part of that, and the Q11 won't try to highlight that or to minimize that to distract you from that. Imaginary stage is above average in width and slightly above average in depth, so width is bit bigger than depth. It's not the huge, but it's nicely positioned and built, and also depth layering here is noticeably better than regular smartphones, and it's something that you will definitely hear. And another example, it's Leïla Martial. I'm not sure should I even try to read the name of this track or not. Quitte or something like that. And it's one of the best vocal records in my collection. Of course, it lacks a bit of that tiny nuances, but actually thanks to normal high frequencies it delivers good amount of overtones, so despite of lacking tiny nuances it sounds live and pretty organic and actually even saturated with that high frequency overtones. And treble, actually it's like normal. Extension is above average, not maximum, but no, above average. There is no attempts to add some energy, and there is no attempts to hide treble. Of course, it doesn't have layering, and overtone saturation is is mainly focused on basic overtones, not that audiophilic nuances of really high overtones. But in general, it's really balanced, well controlled, and sounds pretty good with appropriate load. So no sense to use it with some high-end earphones, but with that segment up to $300, it's a really good offer, but more on that a bit later. And treble example, it's Sting, and it's Sister Moon, but actually any track by Sting can be a good example, because here you also get a lot of air, lot of percussions. For percussions, of course, it lacks a bit of layering, but in general, treble here sounds good enough to give you that sense of airness and spaciousness and lightweight. So once again, to summarize the sound, it's great for this price, but don't expect some audiophilic revelations here. In terms of pairings, it's pretty good with full-size headphones. It can deliver a noticeable amount of power, of course not like some tough planars, and usually they require some more technical source anyway. But it sounds good with average earphones in terms of drivability, with not super high impedance and normal sensitivity, zero problems in general. And also, what is surprisingly good here is a really low background noise for sensitive in-ear monitors. Almost zero issues here, even if you try to turn volume higher. But definitely it's better not to do that. Speaking about the compressions, actually previous Q series they were a bit more weighty. On the mids and on the lows they added more weight. This one is more natural and more linear. And what we've got in this price range also, actually I don't see any sense comparing with dongles, because it overperforms them pretty easily. It overperforms them even with earphones, but with some headphones dominance will be even more noticeable here, because it has battery, it has a good amplifier, and it will give you noticeably better dynamics and independent of the source itself, of the transport itself. So probably time to summarize this review. Great value for its price. Don't expect some audiophilia, but if you just want to enjoy your music without spending too much, it's a really worth option to consider. Thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and of course have a nice day.